the first time that I realized, like, thought, you know, like, that I realized I was different, I would say, is probably like when I was probably six or seven, and it was Christmas at my house, and this is one of the good times where my mom was really doing well. So I remember my mom sectioned everyone gifts off. She didn't wrap anything. Like, that's something she never did. And everyone had the gifts in a separate area of the living room. And I remember sitting over there playing with my toys and seeing my sister with her toys. And I just no longer wanted to play with mine. I just wanted to play with all the girls' toys. And I think I realized then that, like, when I was playing with her Barbie, I was thinking that that was me and I wanted to be that Barbie. My mother, to this day, I mean, she just loves to party. Like, she just loves to party. And I guess that's the reason why I don't like partying at all. That's what she did all the time. So it came to a point sometimes where she like used all the money, didn't pay any bills. Like, we've lived in apartments where we didn't have lights for months at a time. She would just drop us off with my grandmother, which she did quite often. And then my grandmother was very religious. Like, my siblings and I, we lived with my grandmother for 2 years here, 2 years there. She's a Jehovah's Witness, so she is, every single thing in her life has something to do with God. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, she don't vote, she don't do anything, she don't care about civil rights. She's like, everything is just God, Jehovah God. That's all that matters to her. Like, doing right by God. We were like forced to definitely practice her religion. It was pretty brutal living with her because she was, I wouldn't say she was abusive, but she was definitely strict with, like, discipline. Like, I mean, like, we couldn't play, we couldn't do anything. It was just strict. We had to sit down in the living room and just watch TV. We couldn't talk, we couldn't do anything. It was just, for me, it definitely affected me a lot because I feel like a lot of things in my life would be differently if I had that, like, family stability growing up. I would have went to college. I would have, you know, did things, I guess, to live the American dream. At 16, I moved in with some friends, and so I was basically homeless. We were becoming friends with these people because we went to school. We went to the same school, and I was curious about, I didn't know if I was gay or trans, but I know that I've always wanted to be a woman, like, ever since I was like 7, but I didn't know what trans was then. You know, I didn't have no idea. So I just thought it was just gay or something. So they definitely introduced me and taught me a lot of different things. You know, at 17, they gave me my first hormone, and they basically taught me different things of how to make money, such as going to different stores and, like, stealing things and selling them. I eventually got caught, and I was with another one of the girls, and we got caught at the clothing store, and I was arrested, and I was like 17. They gave me a class to take. Because I was arrested in, like, Fulton County. And Fulton County is a liberal part of Georgia. So from like 17 to like 19, I was like going to Walmarts with friends. And we were making, you know, like one trip to Walmart, we was making like $3,000. So I don't think I was really I just thought that was just life for me. You know, I didn't think of an alternative. I didn't think of working. I didn't think of any of those things then. I didn't have that type of positive inspiration transitioning, especially from the girls. We came up with different ways of doing it. We were going at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, and we would go to like different areas of the store where there was no workers and just go out like the emergency exit. We've done it so many times that we just had to go somewhere else to do it because these people have been used to us coming to the store. So they must have been figuring out something by then. So we knew we had to go further out in order to be successful. I was in Gwinnett County, and Gwinnett County is a conservative county. It's very, very conservative. It's like a rural area as well. We were at the Walmart and we were preparing to get the electronics from the store. We left it in the carts because we realized that someone was, following us in the store. So as we were walking out of the door, the police was right there and they arrested us. I served 22 months in the county jail. 22 months in the county jail in solitary confinement. I was so ready to go home. This is my first time actually spending time in jail. The first time was like 3 days and it was over with. My attorney, he wanted to take it to trial because he felt like he could have won, but I didn't feel right taking a case to trial as a woman of color, a trans woman of color. I didn't think it would have been in my best interest to do that in a county like Gwinnett County. I still feel that the people would have probably found me guilty based on me being who I am. It was horrible being in that cell 23 hours a day. It was just the walls, just me and the walls and the noise, and they would bang on the door constantly and scream. They put like people who have mental health problems, they'll bring them there and they'll just scream. They were so strict. Like, you had to make your bed. Mind you, I'm not going anywhere. I'm stuck in this cell. But you want me to make my bed until 9 o'clock. It has to be made from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I am freezing, and all I had was this jumpsuit and a pair of boxers. And they intentionally kept the cells cold because they wanted to discipline inmates. I saw them actually torture people. A guy, he was banging on the door pretty badly, and he cursed the officer out. They opened his door and went in, and I can see it. They slammed him on the ground, was bending his arm and tasing him, and I was definitely scared. I wasn't even I wasn't scared of the inmates. I was scared of the guards. I wrote the sheriff of the county. I kept trying. It's like as if I'm being disciplined for being trans because I'm in a solitary confinement unit, and I didn't do anything wrong in the jail. I thought about hanging myself with the sheet at night. One night I was about to I planned it out when they were coming to do the counts. I really just thought about how I was gonna do it. I believe during that period of the 22 months I served in the county jail, that was probably the most religious I've ever been. I prayed constantly. I moved in with my brother. I was definitely going through a lot of depression, and I was definitely scared of so many things. I was scared of men. I was scared of police officers. If I see a police car, I was scared. I think I was definitely the poorest I've ever been. Was definitely then because I didn't work. I had no income coming in except for income from the government, the food stamps. I couldn't do it anymore. I went back out there to Walmart when I was in the store. I was definitely more nervous now than I've ever than I ever was prior to being at the store at that time. It was a similar situation, but this time I didn't really allow them to arrest me. I just got in the car and drove off. And while I was driving and basically running from the police, I told myself I'm about to drive the car into a tree or a pole because I really wanted to die before I went back to jail and went to solitary confinement. I really wanted to die. Hall County put me in a medical dorm, and that was worse than solitary confinement. The lights never went off. It was bright lights that stayed on 24 hours a day. Oh gosh, that was definitely the worst food I've ever had in jail. I was literally sick from it, like throwing up, sick, nauseous constantly. I don't know if it was the lights that made me nauseous. I don't know what it was, but it was just like, I couldn't eat it. Like I couldn't even force myself to eat that food. It was like horrible. I said, listen here, I know that I've messed up. And I basically said to myself that, you know, I would just take a prison sentence. I knew that as a trend, I knew they was going to try to use that because it's like when I went to court, they didn't respect me as a woman. They said, sir, and they were very disrespectful. I was like, I'll take 3 years. I pled guilty. I went to the Georgia Diagnostic Clasification prison, which is a male prison in Jackson, Georgia. Because this is really rural. Like, this is the country of the country. Like, this is like huge mosquito. It was like, that was rough. I guess they didn't want to strip me in front of all the guys. It was like a little shack, and they called me to go and come in. It was like, they were like, take your clothes off and bend over and spread your cheeks and cough. And then they took me to, and they cut off all my hair bald. Oh my gosh. I suffer from gender dysphoria, so every little thing that may look like a guy on me, I'd freak out about that anyway. I did not want to look at myself at all. Here, I wasn't freezing. I was burning up. They had no air conditioning. And this solitary confinement, it was bars. It was like bars everywhere. And they had windows where the sun is directly on you all day. Yeah, like that's everything was just open, like just windows, like not just little, no, huge windows where the sun was just hitting. It was so hot. No air conditioning, no fans, no nothing. This place had rats running around at night. I mean, hundreds of rats. They used to come in my cell. So the rats were like at the bottom, and they had upstairs and downstairs, and I was upstairs. And so at night, the rats were running around. It was hundreds, and they were huge. I mean, the rats were humongous. I couldn't sleep at night. So I slept all day, and I had to stay up all night because when I had that rat come in my room, and it's like, I was sleeping, and all I was just hearing like this gawing, like it was something was chewing, or something was going on with the bed. And I was like, instantly I knew, I was like, oh crap, there's gotta be a rat in here. And I jumped up on the bed, and I was like, and two of them start running out of the cell. It was hundreds of rats. Like, it was so, all you see them just running around all day, just running around at night. I know when I slept at night. I stayed up the whole night until I saw sunlight, and then that's when I went to sleep. I didn't want to go into population there where I'm hearing that people are being raped and attacked and murdered. They transferred me to another prison, further down south, in Reedsville, Georgia, the Georgia State Prison. And we went directly to the shakedown shack. They stripped me, and I would start taking off my clothes, and these certain guy said, hold on. And he told me to wait. And I was already in there with all the guys, but all the guys were seeing me stripping and stuff. And he had them leave out, then he stripped me alone. And then they took me to solitary confinement again. I was only in solitary confinement there for a week, and then they put me in general population. All the time I've been incarcerated, there's always an officer escorting me everywhere I go. He literally drops me off in front of the door and walk away, and I'm like, I think it was at that moment that I realized that I'm alone. And I basically felt like I was being let off to the wolves. This guy approached me and said, can he talk to me? I'm like, oh my gosh, why this person needs to talk to me? And he came to me and was like, you're going to need protection in a place like this. You're going to need a man to protect you. And that he was like a gang member, the highest ranking gang member of the prison. And he can protect me and that I need to be protected. And he just started following me everywhere I went. They called chow. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we're walking to the cafeteria to get food. I sat at the table about to eat the food, and next thing you know, he came and sat with me. I'm like, he's like, I told my boys that you are mine, and you know, they gonna be looking out for you. And everywhere I went, he followed me. And like, I would say a week later, he started acting crazy. Like, he's like mad and angry. And I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? So I couldn't understand. He was like real mad. I was like, I didn't understand what was wrong with him. He said, you're gonna quit playing with me. And you know, I was like, what are you talking about? He said, you know, you have to do your duties. And I'm like, I'm confused with like, what do you mean by duties? And he was like, you're gonna suck me or, you know, do something sexual with him. And we were like in front of the whole dorm when he was acting like that. So he was like, well, he's like, let me talk to you over here. He grabbed me by my throat, threw me to the wall. And he pulled out a shank and told me that you're going to do what you're supposed to be doing. I was like, okay, whatever you want me to do, just don't kill me. So I was definitely in perpetual fear that I was going to die. I felt that, you know, this guy was going to kill me. You know, he told me that he was in for murder and had 3 life sentences. And I'm like, this guy has nothing to lose. And every single time where if he's not forcing me to perform a sex act on him and days go by and it doesn't happen, so he'll go crazy on me again and, you know, start threatening me and physically assaulting me to force me to perform oral sex. I feel like I felt he was gonna kill me. And I wrote my mother and I told her that I was in fear of my life and that I thought that I was gonna die. And I asked her to get me contacts to the Georgia Department of Correction, senior people over the prison system, so that I can contact them, because I knew that the prison system, the guards with the inmates, they had relationships with these people. Like, he will tell me that he was going to get me some outfits and the guard was going to get them for him. And I wrote the deputy warden of security and I told him exactly what was going on. I named the guy and everything. Nothing happened. I went to protective custody. When I got to protective custody, he was in a cell. He was assigned to the same cell while I was on protective custody. I was definitely freaking out, but I knew that I couldn't react to it. That's when he actually raped me. So while he was sleeping, I told the officer what happened and through a letter. And they brought like the captain of the prison, and they put like pepper spray through the door. Was about to pepper spray him because he pulled out a razor and he was about to cut me with the razor. And they I guess he surrendered to them. And they put handcuffs on him and